सच्चिदानन्दविग्रह अनादिरादिर्गोविन्द सर्वकारणकारण.
All is well with you and your families at this time. So today we're moving on to the 25th day of the Purushotam Maas challenge, and we have just 5 days left to see this Purushotam Maas through. Well done to all of you so far. Whatever you've decided to do to offer to Krishna with love, we are also benefited by this. The whole world is benefited by your offering during this auspicious time of Purushotam Maas. So we're moving on to the BRAHMA STUThi prayers. We're moving on. Hopefully, I'm hopeful we're going to complete this overview today. Just the overview alone is taking us, today is the 4th day. It shows how much is there available to speak about Krishna. Kathayantas chamam nitya tusranticha ramanticha. Krishna says in Gita that the devotees, they get so much of pleasure by discussing my katha. Kathayantas chamam. So this is a great relishment. So before we start, we'd like to offer a invocation prayer from the Brahma Samhita. Ishvara Parama Krishna Sachidananda Vigraha Anadiradir Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. So we move on from this point in the overview. There is simply no way to understand the truth. So we were discussing the beauty of Vrindavan as compared to the Gyan of the process of Gyan and the process of Bhakti, and how by Krishna's mercy this Gyani, or in this particular case Brahma, has come to his enlightenment, to his moment where he's completely bewildered, not only by the activities of Krishna as using his power, his Aishwarya, but also we see he's bewildered by Krishna's sweetness. The beauty of Krishna, Prema Madhurya, Rupa Madhurya, Venu Madhurya, and Leela Madhurya. These 4 sweetness aspects of Krishna that makes him distinct from all the other incarnations. So we catch the summary moving on this topic. There is simply no way to understand the truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead without His mercy. So we were just introducing this part as well, that without Krishna's mercy, there's no way we can understand this topic. But what is Krishna's mercy? So in Bhagavad Gita, in the Chatur Shloki section, 10th chapter, verses 8, 9, 10, 11 is the Chatur Shloki. So in the last verse there, 10.11, Krishna says this, Tesham evanukam partha aham jnanajam tamaha nashayami atma bhavasto jnana dipena bashvitaha. So he's saying, Arjun, Tesham evanukam partha, that for those who I favor with special mercy, for one who gets special mercy, then nasayami atma bhavasto jnana dipena bhashvita. Bhashvita means the torch, the light, using the light of knowledge. I give this person the special mercy, the understanding of this. As remember, Prabhupada uses a very beautiful adjective there, special mercy. Now what is the difference between mercy and special mercy? But Prabhupada very deliberately uses this word special mercy. It's very beautifully described. So mercy alone is special, but using the word special mercy means there's something more secret there. There's something more gupta. Ghuyam is something more secret there. So what is that? That special mercy is Krishna's devotees. Krishna's mercy comes through Krishna's devotees. Krishna is not the possessor of bhakti. Remember, if he was the possessor of bhakti, that means he would be able to love himself. No, it's the devotees who love him. So that means bhakti lies in their hands, bhakti lies in their hearts. And the expression of this bhakti is found in Vrindavan. This is why Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes, when he's quoting Srimati Radharani, that she's saying when they went to Kurukshetra after the battle to bring Krishna back to Vrindavan, Ratha Yatra. So at that time Radharani is praying there that Krishna, it is you. It is the same Krishna and I'm the same Radharani. But because this place is not Vrindavan, we can't express anything here. It's relationship. We were saying yesterday that everything is based on ambience. Vrindavan's exchange of love is based on ambience. That's why love is expressed the greatest way when you have gardens, trees, flowers. You see what people in love, what they do, where they go. They're going to the parks. They're doing all their masti there only. They're doing everything there in those parks. Now, of course, Kali Yuga, they go cinema, this way, that way. But traditionally, love meant you go to the parks, there's flowers, you give your loved one flowers. Now, who can say what they're giving now? Completely Kali Yuga things. But traditionally, the understanding of love is natural, beautiful things. Spending time in the environment, spending time by the ocean, spending time in the gardens, spending time by flowers, nature. So one can see love is expressed more in that environment. So this is Krishna. Vrindavan is an extension of that love that he has for the Brajbasis, and that love especially that he has for Srimati Radharani. So this special mercy of Krishna, yesterday I was listening to a class by Srila Prabhupada, and he was making this point that if you don't get the special mercy of Krishna and you endeavor on the path of yoga, then what will happen? This is a very profound point, and I was so grateful to Prabhupada yesterday for revealing this, because I was trying to connect the Gyan to the Bhakti, and what happens when one doesn't complete his path of Gyan. We know if one doesn't complete his path of Bhakti, then he becomes 6.42. Arjuna asks about this question. And then Krishna says, Prapya punyam kritam lokam ushitva shashvati shava suchinam shrimatangehe yoga bhrashto bijayate. Arjun, the unsuccessful yogi, he will be born in Suchinam, in the house of Brahmanas, or Shrimatan, in wealthy families. And yoga bhrashto bijayate, he'll be able to continue his practice of bhakti from there. Why those two? Because Brahmanical family, very easy to start, and wealthy family, very easy to get frustrated. Matter will frustrate you quickly, because everything you want you can just get. So matter doesn't satisfy you, you get frustrated, then you search for Krishna. So, but for the Jnani, what is his alternative? So Prabhupada describes a great Jnani is what they do if they really attain perfection. Because there's nothing tangible there, they merge into that existence and become one with the effulgence. It's so dry. They come back to this material world and do philanthropic work. They do work to society. But Prabhuji, you just gave up the society, huh? You're a Jnani, you don't naiti, you don't want to associate with anything material. So now why are you coming back and doing philanthropic work? Because you have to be active. The soul is active. So you see, this is proof. When you look in the world, all the great Jnanis of the world, they're all doing philanthropic work. Food relief programs, clothes relief programs, all hunger relief, all these kind of things to society. So the perfection of your jnana is to come back and serve society. That is good. It's wonderful to serve society. But don't miss your own goal. You remember we were discussing this point. Mukti is in your own hands. You may be culturally connected to some society, some culture. You may be Hindi, Gujarati, Tamil, whatever the culture may be. You may even be some other traditional or racial distinction. But that is your bodily identification. What are you doing for your mukti? That is in your hands. Be serious about that. So these jnanis, because they have that desire to want to act, they fall again. They fall again. So Prabhupada is saying this is the proof that you have to, if relationship is so important, and that ultimate relationship is Krishna, which is most deeply expressed in Vrindavan. It goes on to say, having established this conclusion, Lord Brahma analyzed the great good fortune of the residents of Braja and then personally prayed to be born there even as a blade of grass, a bush or a creeper. So the Acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has spoken the Shikshastikam, and third verse we know very well. Trinadapi sunichena taroreva suhishtana amanina manadena kirtanya sadahari. That one should be more humble than a blade of grass, devoid of all sense of false prestige. And in this way one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly. So that idea of the blade of grass and being a blade of grass in the Holy Land, you can see Lord Brahma is also expressing the same sentiment. He wants to be a blade of grass. So Prabhupada has warned us also that when we are associating with Brajbasis, don't be too familiar and don't be too distant. Be careful, because they're not ordinary people. If we offend them, it could ruin our spiritual life. So they are Krishna's own people. So don't be too familiar with them and treat them as you treat others. So the point being that we only can get bhakti or service to Krishna from the devotees. This is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when the inhabitants of Kolina Gram were going back after the Rath Yatra in Puri, and they were asking, give us some instructions now, we're going back home. So Mahaprabhu said three things. He said Nama Kirtan, chanting the holy names, Tulsi Seva, service to Tulsi, and Vaishnav Seva, service to the devotees. Because the secret of getting Krishna is in the hearts of the devotees. Atma Sudurlabha Atma Bhakto, we were saying Brahma Samhita, and even in Bhagavad Gita, Saeva Maya Tedya, Yoga Prokta Puratanaha, Bhaktosi me. It's in the hearts of the devotees. So therefore, the secret of Krishna's mercy, this mercy aspect, is in the hearts of the devotees. That's why Srila Prabhupada also, in chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, he said the meaning of that is approaching Radharani. My dear mother, Srimati Radharani, please engage me in Krishna's service. Although we're chanting the Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna Mantra, but we're approaching and praying to Radharani. Please, you are the devotee, topmost devotee of Krishna. Please engage me in Krishna's service. So this is the request from the devotee. So Brahma took this prayer so deep that he wanted to be a grass, a blade of grass. We see Uddhav also has done this. On the Govardhan Parikram, you come to a place called Uddhav Thyari in Govardhan. And there Uddhav is there as grass, because they were praying that at least these Brajbasis, the inhabitants of Vrindavan, they can walk over me and give me the dust of their lotus feet. This is how great personalities are praying. So Uddhav in Uddhav Thyari, Lord Brahma here we sing as Varshana, the 4 hills of Varshana, he manifested there so that he can get Radharani's blessing and all the gopis on his head, because constantly they'll be walking up and down there. So look at how they are entering Vrindavan in such a humble mood, in such a deep mood. So the summary goes on to say, indeed the homes of residents of Vrindavan are not prisons of material existence, but rather abodes envied even by the Gyanis and the Yogis. So there's a nice saying, home is where the heart is. And where is the heart? The heart is with Krishna. So if Krishna is not in the home, you can just see. That means Krishna is not in the heart. If Krishna is in the heart, then the heart, home is where the heart is. Otherwise, home is just a house. What is the difference between house and home? House is the structure, home is the mood. House is the structure, home is the bhav, the mood. So it's a fact, if you don't have Krishna in your home, you don't have Krishna in your heart. Therefore, Prahlad Maharaj describes it as Andakupam, the dark well. Home becomes the dark well of material existence. Because home is where one is always thinking of Krishna. Krishna says this in the Gita. Mat chitta mat gata prana bodhayantas parasparam katayantas chamam natya tasanticha ramanticha. My devotees, that they get great pleasure by discussing my katha. Satatam kirtayanto mam yetantasya dhrita vrata namasham chastamam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Again Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is saying, Satatam kirtan, they are always doing my kirtan. They are Satatam kirtayanto mam, they are always doing my kirtan. Yetantasya dhrita vrata, with great determination. So this is the devotees. So we see the Brajbasis, they have such a deep love for Krishna. Even now in Vrindavan, I've been a few times to Brajbasi homes where they put a extra plate out for Gopal. On the table, they'll have chair, table, plate, everything for Gopal. We see that in the beautiful Leela when Prabhupada was doing the installation of Dwarkadish, Rukmini Dwarkadish in Los Angeles. And then he gave this amazing class that every pujari should go and read and study deeply. I spoke about it once as well. And Prabhupada is saying, you should pray, plead to Krishna that I brought this for you, my Lord. Please accept this. And whatever you're offering him. So in that class, Prabhupada was mentioning Sanatana Goswami and how he would feed Gopal. But he had no money, so he would feed the chapati with no salt. And Gopal was complaining. Oh, Sanatan, you are giving dry chapati, no salt also? And Sanatan goes, now you are asking for salt, tomorrow what you will want? He's talking to Krishna like this in such a deep way. But this is the bhav, this is the ras. This is the sweet exchange between the devotee and the Lord. So Prabhupada mentions there also, just like that in Vrindavan, they offer that extra plate for Krishna to see as a family. He's part of the family. That's why they don't worship Krishna directly. They love him so intimately that he's just part of the family. The overview goes on to say, on the other hand, any home without a connection to Lord Krishna, a prison cell of material existence. So the simple fact is, Krishna is guiding also in Bhagavad Gita 9:27. Yat karosi, yat asnasi, yat johosi, dadasi yat tat tapasyat konteya, yat kurusva mat arpanam. He's saying whatever you do, karo, whatever you, yat karosi, whatever you do, yat asnasi, yat johosi, whatever you give away as food, whatever you eat, tat tapasya kontiya, and whatever austerities you do, tapasya, yat kurusva mat arpanam. Do it as arpanam, worship to me. So if we start making our homes like that in a very deep way, not superficially just because we need some help, but not, that's the jnani way. We want bhakti, we want to love Krishna, we want to serve Krishna, we want to love the devotees, we want to serve the devotees. This is where bhakti lies. This is the secret. The greatest secret of bhakti is in the heart of the devotee. Sudurlabha atma bhakto. It's in the heart of the devotee. It goes on to say, finally Brahma offered his whole self at the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord and praising him again and again circumambulated him and took his leave. So it's described how Brahma was like a golden rod because his body complexion is golden. So he was like a golden rod offering Ashtanga Dandavat Pranam. 8 parts of the body, Ashtanga, 8 parts of the body, Dandavat Pranam, hits the ground like a rod, like a golden rod in Brahma's case. So 8 parts of the body, you can count the limbs and includes the mind. Don't forget the mind, it's also one anga of the body, the subtle body. So that also must be offered to Krishna. So this in Nectar of Devotion is called Atma Nivedanam, where one offers himself completely. And this is, you can see, Brahma is genuinely asking for forgiveness and completely offering himself. And then he walks around 3 times. This 3 times is very interesting. As a pujari, I would ask, the senior pujaris, what is this? Why we offer lamp 3 times, 5 times, 7 times? Why is it this way? So one explanation is 3 times is because the gross body, subtle body, spiritual body gets purified. So that's why we walk around 3 times. Walk around Krishna, even in the temple. Any temple of Krishna will have opportunity to walk around Krishna. So because we're following in the footstep of Brahma. So this is 3 times. Also 5 times because the 5 elements of nature. So we're offering all that for purification to Krishna. Then also when we're offering lamp 7 times. So it's the 5 elements plus the mind and intelligence that we are offering to Krishna. So different ways like that. As a meditation, one can remember as we're doing things. We're not just doing mechanically. There's meaning behind everything we're offering. But generally it's purifying the gross body, the subtle body, and then engaging the spiritual body. So we can see that Brahma has really got his moment of enlightenment. We see the 2nd canto compared to the 10th canto now. Brahma at that time, in order to do his work, he got the Gayatri mantra from Krishna's flute. We remember that in the 2nd canto. And now over here, he gets the Gopal mantra. That's what when he enters Vrindavan, he hears, he becomes submissive, then he gets Gopal mantra. Klim Krishnai, Govindai, and it goes on like that. So we also chant that mantra. It's the 10-syllable Gopal mantra. So we also get that mantra. We also, those who Brahman initiated know, they chant that mantra as well. So so that establishes our eternal service to Krishna. And the Gayatri mantra that he got from Krishna's flute was in order to do his service in the material world. So it goes on to say, Lord Krishna then gathered the animals that Brahma stole and led them to the place on the Yamuna's bank where the cowherd boys had been taking lunch. The same friends who had been present before were sitting there now. So we can see that the exchange happened and the original cowherd boys are back. By the power of Krishna's illusionary energy, they were not at all aware of what had happened. Thus, when Krishna arrived with the calves, the boys told him, "You've returned so quickly. Very good. As long as you were gone, we couldn't take even a morsel of food. So come and eat." Laughing at the words of the cowherd boys, Lord Krishna began taking his meal in their company. While eating, Krishna pointed out to his young friends the skin of the python, and the boys thought, "Krishna has just now killed this terrible snake." Indeed, later they related to the residents of Vrindavan the incident of Krishna's killing the Agar demon. In this way, the cowherd boys described pastimes that Lord Krishna had performed in his Balya age, 1 to 5, even though his Poganda age, 6 to 10, had begun. So we can see this, Yadati pratigrinati guhyamakyati prichati bhunkte bujhayate cheva satvidi priti lakshana. That one of the priti lakshanas, the loving exchanges of relationship, is food. And food is a vital part of Krishna Leela in so many ways, especially with the cowherd boys. So they're always exchanging. But you can see, it's not that the food that they want. It's not after the food. It's because of the exchange that will create with Krishna. Food is used as something to exchange love with Krishna. The point is love. The point is not food. Remember, they can get anything they want. There's kalpa trees all over the place. Kalpa taru chintamani. Chintamani pragarasadmasu kalpa taru laksha prite shushurabhira vipalayantam. All over Vrindavan there's kalpa tarus. So anything they want to get, they can just ask from the tree. So what is it about the food thing? It creates loving exchange between Krishna and his devotees. So Krishna's eternal age is Kaishor, 16 years old, Navayovanamscha. He doesn't grow older than that. Even Prabhupada says he's 125 years old on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, but he's looking like a young man. This is Krishna, eternally youthful. So his exchange with his devotees with food. We see even the Yagik Brahmanas in the neighboring village of Vrindavan. They're also in the mood of Gyan. So they were offering all these mantras and everything because they know the Supreme Lord only eats from Yagya. This is Yagya Purush, Yagya Shishta Shira Santo Muchayanti Sarva Kilbishai Bhujanti ye agham papam ye pashanti atmakaranat. Krishna says in Gita, you have to offer everything with Yagya. Otherwise you're verily eating only sin. So when the boys went and asked that Krishna wants food, no, we didn't do the Yagya yet. But when they asked the Matajis, the wives of the Yagik Brahman, immediately, oh, Krishna has come, Balaram has come, quickly they gave. So this is food as a loving exchange. And again, Gyan versus Bhakti. The Yagik Brahmanas, all the Gyan they had, and the Lord himself is coming to ask and they couldn't give. And here the Matajis, the Yagik Brahmanis, they had so much love that immediately give Krishna, send it for Krishna. This is the mood. So I think because there's so much of nectar to discuss, we're moving a little slow, but we're moving, but it is sweetness that we want to relish. We don't want to cover content. We want to relish the sweetness of Krishna's pastimes with his devotees, and here we're relishing the sweetness of Brahma and Krishna, how Krishna is relating with his devotee in this beautiful Leela of enchantment or Vimohan, bewilderment. So we'll end here today. Please join us again tomorrow. Hare Krishna.